Welcome back to Laugh Napkin, where we read stories from your favorite subreddits. This first story comes from the user ElfMageSin. I, a 34-year-old female, am a school crossing guard. You know the look. I have the bright yellow vest and big red sign. Even better, I won a matching yellow reflective hat when I embarrassed myself during my first training demo. Thus, I'm all kitted out. So just remember that the key color here is yellow. Now recently, some big cellular companies started installing fiber optics beneath the ground near a school. And by near, I mean drilling and destroying the sidewalks. Like the one I cross at. Like literally am posted on, having to dance around cones and not fall into holes. So naturally, there are a lot of reflective cones, blocked off areas, and most importantly, big dudes in orange vests and hard hats. Anyway, it's a hot mess. The kids are confused, the parents are irate, and I'm running my butt off. But we're getting through it. The rush was hectic, but we found our rhythm, and the crowd starts to thin. Then this one Karen parks in the bike lane and halfway in one of my crosswalks, and right where the dudes are digging up the sidewalk, i.e. the worst place possible. Thinking she's just a mom trying to pick up her kids, not the way to do it, I rush over, hoping my eyes looked friendly because my smile was hidden behind my mask. Afternoon, ma'am. I'm afraid I have to ask you, you are seriously bad at your job. Come again, ma'am? I've been watching you, and you're doing it wrong. People could get hit because of you. I'm beginning to panic, because I'm very alert. But maybe I'm off my game? I start reviewing the few minutes that had passed, wondering if I made any mistakes. I've been covering my 3 corners fine, I let cars go fine, and managed watching cars go into a turn lane that was now used for incoming traffic without anyone dying. But I'm not allowed to direct traffic, so I'm thoroughly confused. I'm so sorry, but could you elaborate? I don't want excuses. I want you to do your job. You're supposed to let a certain amount of cars go at a time, and you're not even trying to keep the kids off the road. Then I see my late stragglers approach, and by this time I wanted to ignore this lady that isn't making any sense. So I begin moving away so I can cross my kids. And this Karen, this scrawny beanhole of a lady grabs my sign. Or tries to take it, but my sign is my baby. No one grabs my sign. Whoa, ma'am. I'll direct traffic myself. I start to catch on. Ma'am, please let go of my stop sign. I'm trying to cross my kids. I am not part of the construction crew. Somehow she heard that. She also heard my kids rushing over to ask if I'm okay, calling me by my surname. Even parents are starting to call over to me to see what was going on. Karen turns white and lets go of my sign. You work for the school? Me clutching my sign. Yes, ma'am. Oh, well, you shouldn't wear the same vest. Again, I'm in yellow. The crew is in orange. I look at my vest, then look at 2 workers, then back at my vest. I was trying to be subtle, but I forgot that 5-year-olds are not, and one of my kinders scoffs at this lady. Lady? She's in yellow? They're in orange. Even I can tell them apart. Yes, I love this kid. Karen blinks once, just once, then spins around and runs for her car. That's it. Just runs from a sassy 5-year-old. I wish I could have given this kid a hug. Wow, Karen straight up did the walk of shame from a 5-year-old. Who would have thought a kid could shut down a Karen? Kudos to that kid. Our next story comes from the user Vexy. I've worked as a vendor for nearly the last decade for various companies, and being in stores stocking my company's products, I get confused as a store employee often. With my demeanor, if I can help them, I normally will. And only pull the I'm sorry I don't work here card if I'm unable to help, lacking knowledge or such. This story, I was working for a soda company whose colors are red and white with an easily recognizable script name. I wonder what that is. We also work for the Monster Energy drinks, important later. One day I'm scheduled to service a Target store. This particular store, in an attempt to further distinguish vendors from someone who may have just wandered into the back rooms, apart from our uniforms, had made Target name tags with our company name or sub-company on them. I step out of the back room to make a list of what needs to fill on the sales floor when I'm stopped by a customer. Where do you have the garden hoses? She asks. I turn and look around the area we were in. Oh, they were right here, but I don't know where they moved them to now. I'm sorry, I don't work here. She looks at me in disbelief and calmly, not in a typical Karen tone, says, Yes, you do. You're wearing a red shirt, a name tag, and your name is... She trails off as the realization dawns on her. Monster? She quickly collects herself and responds, I see your point. and thank you for the laugh. She then proceeds to depart. I hope she eventually found the hoses. Somewhere out there's a Karen looking for hoses. Do you think she went on to harass another employee after this? Let me know in the comments. And our third and final story comes from the user this. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that name. I'm out of work because of COVID, so occasionally I drive my husband to and from work because he has a long commute, and at least once in a while I can do the driving for him. Now he works at a warehouse type shopping center. Between 9 and 10 a.m. Monday through Friday, they have senior shopping. His shift started at 9:45. I had some shopping to do, so we walked in together. I went to grab a cart and go to the back of the line of regular shoppers waiting for the senior hour to finish and be let in. My husband kisses my cheek and walks into the building. Now we're in our 30s, definitely not close to 55 plus. The lady in front of the line starts shrieking that man was just allowed in to shop and didn't wait in the line like the rest of us. I stopped mid-cart grab and watched it unfold. My husband turns around and politely explains while holding up his name badge, sorry ma'am, I work here. I'm just showing up for my shift is all. I'm not cutting in line, I promise. She loses it. She demands to speak to a manager since people are being allowed to cut in line in front of her, and how she's been waiting for over an hour to get in. The doors didn't even open until 11 a.m., and there are signs everywhere explaining that 9 to 10 is senior hour, and it's been this way for months. My husband continues to try to calm the lady down, explaining that he's an employee. His shift starts in 3 minutes. He's not cutting in line. He's clocking in for his shift. The person watching the door keeps explaining the same. Finally, a manager comes to the front. Karen is now blue in the face from yelling and screaming. It's time for my husband to clock in, and he can't get past the front door because Karen keeps screaming. The manager explains that my husband is indeed there to work and get everything ready for the incoming flood of patrons. Karen was having none of it. My husband finally decides that in order to just end the situation, he'd use the back entrance at the complete opposite side of the giant building. Manager and husband share a very knowing look. Manager apologizes to Karen, who now looks incredibly righteous. Manager says he'll have a talk to the employee at the front door. There's some whispering. My husband's coworker smiles a little. It's now 10 a.m. and the doors are supposed to be open to everyone. Karen starts looking very, very impatient as the manager standing at the door tells her he can't let the general public in until there are 2 people at the door. We wait and wait and wait and wait. And about 5 minutes after 10, my husband walks up from inside the building to the door and calls Karen on into the building, apologizing for being late as he was being held up. The laughs from the people in line were just precious. She went from blue in the face screaming to red and embarrassed. The best I work here lady ever. That's so embarrassing for the Karen that I almost feel bad for her. Like, how do you recover from that? But anyway, guys, that brings us to the end of today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed these stories today. If you did, help support the channel by smashing that like button. And if you're new here and you enjoy videos like this, then be sure to hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you guys in the next video.